Boom, hey internets. Long time coming big update. So you're watching this video because you are about to launch a clothing line, or maybe you have launched and it's kind of stuck in neutral, or you're just looking for some best practice and foundations and fundamentals for a clothing brand, or maybe merch for an entity that already exists. Maybe you're a musician, you're with a group or organization or company that wants to do some merchandise alongside what they're doing. All those things getting you to this video. I'm gonna help you look at what some foundational steps might be on this video, and then also direct you to a full course where I go into massive detail. If you don't know me, my name is Jon Phenom. I am the clothing brand mentor. I've been working professionally in fashion since 2000. That's like name on the business card as a designer, designing different seasons, multiple seasons for a lot of different multi-million-dollar brands, typically within the realm of streetwear or skate and surf. That's a lot of seasons. That's a lot of trips for mass production to China and a lot of different countries in the world where I was managing cut and sew. In any case, to qualify, I also talk about t-shirts, owned a high volume screen printing shop for 3 years where we printed for companies like Blizzard, which is a multi-billion-dollar gaming company if you're not a gamer. And so this is actually an update to a free course that I have on CBA, which is Clothing Brand Academy. That course has been wildly popular ever since I launched CBA a few years ago. And so I wanted to do an update because I think the principles, while they do stand the test of time, there are a lot of fundamental things that need to be highlighted now in this day and age at the time that you're watching this, where technology and social media has completely changed the game. So I'm gonna touch on a few of those major points here on this video. The first thing I wanna touch in, which is in the title of this video, is you can be a one-man brand or a one-woman brand, and just all you need to do for that is be a good operator, okay? That term I get a lot from food. I have many friends that are in the restaurant and food space, and they'll use that term operator. So, you know, a person that can coordinate well, something in between a founder and a CEO and a director of operations, right? So you have multiple plates spinning and you're kind of juggling it all, and it's basically managing the outsource of a lot of the major parts of a clothing brand, okay? I tackle this video, or I touch on this video on another video I did on solopreneurship. This is a great one that'll double back a lot of the things that I'm saying. Also within answering whether you have to be a designer to design a clothing brand. Now, it helps tremendously if you're a talented designer, or if you just know your way around Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. That's definitely gonna help the process speed up. But if you just want to be an operator, and also like with other traditional businesses or maybe tech-inspired businesses, you might wanna create a brand that you can walk away from or sell if that's your exit strategy, in which case, you know, you want it to run on its own or with some of the major players that you might then put in place. But to be sure, do you need to be a designer? Do you necessarily need several years of experience in an apparel brand? Do you have to live in a major city? The answer to all of these is no. You just need to operate the business well. And I will say though, there's a lot of particularities and there's a lot of detail and things that you need to learn about running a clothing brand that's different from a lot of other businesses. Number two, I want to take apart the 4 pillars that I have mentioned and referenced both in my videos and specifically in pre-launch, the classic version of pre-launch. That is design, production, marketing, and sales. Now, all of those things are still important. They're just kind of crunched into categories that you would manage. First obvious difference I want to point out is marketing and sales, to me, are the same thing. A lot of those 2 categories are incumbent on your social media storytelling. If you launch a business today, you're also launching a marketing company. You need to digitally tell stories. There's very few businesses that do not rely on social media, and I would still argue with some of those businesses, if you did do social media, it would just enhance your journey in that business. And so clothing is definitely and traditionally been one of the types of companies that really need storytelling and reaching out the media. It's the difference between having a brand that people know, feel, and trust, and just putting out product, just putting out your logo on a t-shirt, on a hat, on a jacket, on a woven label. The difference between those are like literally millions of dollars. And so the game is storytelling, getting into people's hearts and minds. And so that is a tremendous amount of work. But let me not stray away from what I'm saying. The two pillars of sales and marketing are almost, I consider, the same thing, because once you get that storytelling in, which is marketing, it's easier then to secure the sale. And really, you need, you know, as the saying goes, you just need 1,000 dedicated customers or loyal fans or raving fans that support your brand, and you'll be able to have a successful company. So the other two pillars that I want to talk about, design and production, in a lot of ways are getting easier because of technology, all right? I mean actual technology and function, which I'm going to talk about in the form of heat press and transfer. And then also, when I say technology, I also mean the internet, okay? So like, there's so many resources for production, which makes it so much easier here and now in this day and age to really get your clothing line up and going from basically a laptop and a phone. So really quick, for design, straight up, as most of you should know, you can outsource design. Now, I will say the biggest trouble in that is finding the right designer who understands the ethos, the vibe, the culture. Because if you're outsourcing someone outside of the United States, it's going to be a big learning curve to kind of describe and tell them all of these different things. Although, I think that can be overcome if you just have very good digital communication. And when I say digital communication, I like to work on a workboard with any kind of outsourced designs. And so my description is always paired with images and actual specification drawings to make it easier for them to understand the kind of changes that I want. Okay, and for production, getting things made is a lot easier now. So two things, let me talk about cut and sew. Cut and sew production has not changed much, but the access to vendors is all over the place. There are so many accounts of people who are professional in production and can let you know where different things are getting made. So this makes it a lot easier, a little less mysterious to find a factory, find out their minimums, get samples done and prototypes, and basically get that merchandise done. I, on my channel, have consulted a ton of people who never had any kind of prior experience and went immediately with cut and sew and have done really well. Now, that's not the normal circumstance. I would still say creating a clothing line to be successful is one of the most toughest things that you can do in business. It's really difficult. But I have talked to and I'm friends with owners and operators of brands who have done it successfully and are doing really well financially. I mean, they like quit their job, this is what they do, they make a good amount of money. Okay, let me touch on at-home production. At-home production has changed. On my channel, I talk all the time about super color. I talk about Heat Press Nation and the type of tools that I use for that. And that's not theater. I don't know, I would never do that, but I own those machines. I work with the transfer company. I literally have a clothing line where I put a product. This shirt and this hat are products, not the custom sticker, but this hat, okay, and this t-shirt that I'm wearing are both products of using a heat press and transfer. And as I said in the beginning, I owned a high volume screen print shop. We had 2 autos, we had 2 heating chambers to cure the prints, we had 20 employees. This is not a small mom and pop operation. I had a massive operation that I co-owned for 3 years. And the quality of the prints will last longer than the actual t-shirt blank. And so to have all of that in the power of like a $700, $800 heat press, like downstairs in my garage. If you see any of that footage of me working with the heat presses, it's literally right next to my car in my garage here in Los Angeles. But I harnessed the power of 20 employees, all that experience and knowledge that I'm paying for with my employees, you know, setting up screens, burning screens, all of that is all done on one transfer. And I retain the value of the blanks until I get an order for that. So if you're starting small and we're talking about production, I talk about it on my channel all the time, and it's not capped. It's like, this is not made up. I'm really launching a company based on those couple things. So this is not an ad for it here on this. This is educational, but I mean, either way, it's really a key building block that I would give as advice for you launching as a brand, because you now don't have to rely on a screen printing company. I mean, unless you get massive orders on something that if you don't want to press it at home, but I've seen people press 1,000 shirts at home, which you can then control that whole process. You could do it on your time. You could turn on the TV while you're doing that and control that, or pay someone, or pay your son or daughter, or whatever. A couple different arrangements. But should you have another screen printing company do it, that's a good problem. That means if I got 1,000 orders on a design, I would definitely set up the artwork for screen pressing for another company. But that means there's a ton of money in your Shopify at that point. So, wanted to bless you guys with game here. I go into ridiculous detail, and I have maybe one more module, but either way, there's a lot more detail if you click the link to my pre-launch design, which is 100% free. And if you're subscribed to the channel and you already have access to CBA for the pre-launch line, which is free, if you re-log in, you're gonna see that everything is updated. There's completely new modules in there, and there's new stuff for you to look at. So if you want that, it's all prepared. It's very detailed. Click the link below, and it's gonna take you to my free pre-launch 2.0 or updated or digital pre-launch. And it's gonna have the original pre-launch episodes too, which I do think is valuable because that's me coming from working in production and apparel design in cut and sew. So I go into depth with those 4 pillars. And so everything about warehouse managing and picking and shipping is still very relevant for everything I do on this course. It's just more digital, where I focus on being a solopreneur. So click it, get that information. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.